You know, whenever we talk about AI, the conversation almost always goes straight to intelligence. We get caught up worrying about it getting smarter than us, taking our jobs, or, the whole Skynet scenario where it decides to wipe us all out. But what if we're completely focused on the wrong thing? What if the real story of AI isn't about how smart it is, but about what it's fundamentally and forever missing?
I mean, we've all seen the movies. We've been taught to imagine this future where superintelligence is the ultimate form of power. But what if that's a massive misunderstanding? The real key to figuring out AI's potential, and maybe more importantly, its limits, might be hiding in plain sight.
So to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to start by tearing down our single biggest assumption about AI. We have to deconstruct the very idea of intelligence. It's a word we throw around all the time, right? But what does it actually mean?
When most of us talk about intelligence, we treat it like it's this one, single, powerful force. But it's not like that at all. The source material for this explainer has a great phrase for it, calling it a champion among umbrella words. It's not one thing. It's a whole bunch of different skills all crammed together under one label.
I mean, just think about a standard IQ test. It's not measuring one single smartness score. It's testing a whole toolkit of abilities: how you handle words, your math skills, spatial reasoning, logic, memory, how fast you can process things, and what you know. Sure, they're all kind of related, but they are absolutely distinct skills.
And when you break it down like this, you can see exactly where AI is already so far ahead it's not even a contest. I mean, its speed and memory are basically at light speed. We can't compete with that. In math and verbal skills, it's doing superhuman calculations. But then you look at the human column. We still own things like nuance and true creativity. And this last one is absolutely crucial. AI can emulate reasoning by crunching insane amounts of data, but it doesn't have genuine comprehension. It's an incredibly powerful mimic, but it's not actually thinking.
Okay, so this superhuman performance in certain areas brings us to the next big, scary question: our jobs. But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? Instead of some new, terrifying apocalypse, what if this is just a pattern we've seen happen again and again throughout history?
This timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The printing press came along and disrupted the lives of scribes. Radio shook up the record industry. Then the internet showed up and just changed, well, basically everything. Every single time, jobs were lost, but new kinds of jobs were also created. AI is just the latest chapter in this very, very long story. This time, the target is repetitive intellectual work. So who's actually most at risk here? Well, it's the people who do routine, repetitive stuff. The source puts it perfectly. It's those who work like robots. But on the flip side, the people who are really poised to grow are the ones who learn to use AI as a tool, who are constantly expanding their own skills and finding new ways to get things done. So for some, it's a menace, but for those who adapt, it's an absolute blessing.
And this brings us to the absolute core of the argument. We've been talking all about intelligence, but there's a huge missing ingredient in this whole recipe. Something that is fundamentally human, something a machine, no matter how intelligent it gets, can never ever have.
Which leads us to the real question, right? If intelligence isn't the ultimate power, then what is? Well, there's this fantastic little story from the source material that gives us a major clue.
So the story goes, there's this guy in Paris who's just constantly complaining about how dumb the French president Jacques Chirac is. And his daughter finally gets fed up and asks him, "Dad, if he's so dumb, how did he become president?" And her father comes back with this killer line: because he possesses something much more important than intelligence. He has a very strong will. He just wanted it more than everybody else.
That will, that's what biologists call agency. It's the basic biological drive to do something. It's desire, ambition, hunger, fear, all the messy, irrational stuff that actually motivates living things. And here's the catch. To have agency, you need all the squishy biological stuff. Metabolism, genes, you actually have to be alive.
I love how the source puts this. Expecting a machine to have a genuine will of its own is as ridiculous as expecting a machine to eat, digest, and actually enjoy a slice of lemon pie. It just can't happen. Those are biological functions. AI doesn't have a body, it doesn't get hungry, and it has absolutely no desires of its own.
Okay, so let's take this new framework, this idea of intelligence versus will, and let's apply it to the biggest fear of them all, the idea that AI is going to decide to make us all extinct.
The argument against this is actually stunningly simple. For an AI to intentionally destroy humanity, it would have to want to. It would need a motive, a desire, a will. But as we've just seen, that's the one thing a machine can't have. It has no biological agency. It's a tool, not a competitor plotting its revenge.
It's kind of ironic, really. While we're busy speculating about this sci-fi AI threat, we are literally surrounded by very real, very tangible extinction risks. And look where they come from. Some come from human will, like nuclear war, and the rest come from the cold, hard laws of physics, like solar flares or a giant meteor. These are the dangers that are actually knocking on our door.
Now, to be fair, there is a more subtle argument out there. From thinkers like Yuval Noah Harari. He asks, what if AI doesn't need to physically destroy us? What if it could just seize power by becoming a better storyteller than we are? By controlling the myths, the stories, and the ideologies that our entire societies are built on?
And this brings us to two totally different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you have Harari's view that ideas lead the world. If AI can control the ideas, it can control us. But the counterargument is that no, physics leads the world. Our societies are ultimately shaped by real material things, by our biological needs.
You can think of it like this. Storytelling is powerful, for sure, but it's a superstructure. It's built on top of the fundamental physical foundation of reality. Even the most persuasive storyteller in human history still had to eat, still had to sleep, still needed shelter. At the end of the day, our biological drives, our agency, always get the final say.
And that leaves us right here, with one final incredibly important thought. If AI is just a tool, a thing with no will of its own, then it can only ever be an extension of someone else's will. It's an amplifier for human intention. So the real danger isn't the tool itself, it's the person holding it. We've been asking the wrong question this whole time. The question isn't what will AI do to us? The only question that really matters is what will we do with it?